Holy moly, guys. Tony and I just covered what it's really like to grow a multiple seven-figure agency, especially in the world of SEO and keeping up with things that are new. You're going to learn how to build the process. Join Tony and I now. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Coach You Show, where we interview entrepreneurs that share step-by-step how they're successful. Tony Ricketts is the CEO and founder of Online Marketing, and I've waited with anticipation for this episode. I've met Tony multiple times. I think the first time was at Josh Nelson's seven-figure agency mastermind. And whether you want to be a seven-figure agency or you just want to scale your business, you're going to want to learn from what Tony Ricketts has to share. Because nowadays, modern businesses is about scaling teams and processes. He's an implementer of the EOS system. He first started doing lawn care, I think in 2005 yourself as a technician. Then 2007, you started a general web agency. And for the last 5.5 years, you've run Online Marketing and scaled it to a seven-figure agency.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Dennis. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Such an honor. We were in Miami just a few weeks ago together, and you won some awards, which I see in the back. There's one that we can see, and there's another one that's, yeah, there you go. There's two of them. Tell everyone who doesn't know who Tony Ricketts is and Online Marketing, what those awards are and who you are.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the intro, Dennis, and the honor is definitely mine here to be on your podcast. Thank you for having me again. So with me, as you mentioned, I actually have some experience as a landscape laborer. I created a generalist agency, and then it took me a while. I think it was about 9 years or so before I actually figured out that I needed to niche down and get my focus more in order. Once I did that, we started to grow very quickly. 2016 is when we first started. So a couple of different awards that you see back here. These are all from my mastermind group, seven-figure agency ran by Josh Nelson. I think we actually first met back in, I want to say it was February of 2019 or 2020, something like that, at one of Josh's events. So this first award here that you see, this is when we hit our first seven-figure run rate, which is the $83,000 a month in recurring revenue. And then these last two awards we recently received just in the past 2021 season. So the second award here, the other big one, is for hitting the multiple seven-figure run rate. So that's the 166 a month in recurring revenue. This little short one here, this middle one, is actually the one I'm most proud of here. We won the fastest growing agency out of the seven-figure agency groups. If you were unaware, there's almost 300 different digital marketing agencies in that group. It is a big organization, and we were able to win this award of the fastest growing agency because in a 1 year time span, we were able to add roughly about 120,000 a month in recurring revenue across 12 months.
So that's another $1.5 million of ARR.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
And recurring revenue. And what would you say of all the people that come to you that are agencies and they want to follow your path, what would you say is the secret?
Well, there's a couple of secrets to it. One is something that it took me a long time to learn, and your people and team are everything. You can't do it all yourself, and you have to create a good team with good training, good processes, and good systems, because just because you might know how to do something well, like you and I, Dennis, kind of both come from the same background of software engineering and coding and things like that. Yeah. So coming into this space with website development and SEO, a lot of that knowledge really helps excel in these spaces. So we're able to produce a better quality service and end result. However, we have to train and teach other people how we can continuously keep that good result a scale. And that's where it becomes difficult. I really started to struggle once I started hitting 40, 50,000 a month in recurring revenue. And I'm just getting way to the point where things are overloading me, and I've got to really start focusing on my delegation. So your team, your processes, your systems, your training, and delegating out are the major things that I would say are really going to move the needle for you. For us, sales was never a problem. Sales is something that will come with good results.
Amen. We should take that and turn it into like a series of 5 tweets. Because we see a lot of agency owners, they get stuck at 30 or 40,000 a month, like you said, and they can't get beyond that because of the team, because of lack of systems and processes, because they don't have a management system. So they think it is about sales. And as you know, the new agencies think it's all about sales and leads, which isn't really the issue at all.
Not at all. That's the easy part. That's the easy part. Building your team and systems and processes is hard.
A lot of agencies believe that in this new world, we can be completely digital and virtual, the laptop lifestyle. But in August, you just opened a 5,000 square foot facility. So what's behind that?
Absolutely. We did. And we're actually about to outgrow it. So I'm going to have to find something bigger now. And that's because I run an in-house team. All of my team, they work here out of my office physically in Tampa. And we work a very strict schedule from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Each of my team members, they come here for an 8-hour day. They work 7 hours and 20 minutes a day, 40 minutes for lunch, and get paid for a full 8-hour day. The reason I decided to do it in-house and not do remote or not go overseas is because of the level of collaboration that we have together in person. And I know that when you hear this remote versus in-house, collaboration always comes up. But when we're looking at collaboration and accountability and maintaining what we call our online chicken sandwich, that's the name of our processes that we've named our processes. That's part of EOS, is naming your processes. And we named it after Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A has done a phenomenal job of scaling something globally where it is exactly the same every time you go into a Chick-fil-A, whether it's here in Tampa, Florida, or whether it's out in Las Vegas, Nevada. You have the exact same experience, exact same customer experience, same food result. And that's what we're trying to do. And they not only were able to replicate it, but they were also able to maintain quality at the same time. So that's why we call ours the online chicken sandwich, is because we want to scale at that level and also maintain quality at the same time.
That is fantastic. And to do that, you have a physical facility with people that you train up and you manage. What has been your key? I see you spent a lot of time on recruitment and a lot of branding and developing your people. Tell us more about your process for attracting, training, and developing and managing people.
So one thing that we focused on is we want to market us to our local community of who we are so that the local marketing experts know that we are the agency you want to work for. See, in the Tampa area, there's actually a lot of digital marketing agencies here physically in Tampa. There's some big ones and there's some small ones. And, we would be considered a smaller one, even at the size that we are. So my whole point to pushing our recruiting marketing is that anybody who is serious about working in the digital marketing space or is a senior level talent in web development or paid advertising or social media or whatever it may be, we want them to know that online marketing is the agency that you want to work for, right? It's kind of like engineers. Engineers know that places like Google and Amazon, these are the places that we want to get in and work for. They've established that in that industry. And I want to establish the same thing locally here for digital marketing experts. So we spend a ton of money in videos, producing not necessarily professional production videos, but our amateur videos, because we find they work better than the professional ones, and promoting those out there to the masses that would be targeted towards digital marketing experts. So we've used TikTok, we've used Facebook and all the other social medias, YouTube. We've built a career sections on our website page, and we're real and honest. So when you go on there and you're going to hear us dropping F-bombs and cursing, because that's who we are, and that's what you should expect when you come and work here. You're going to find that there's a lot of non-professional things that we do that get outside the box and change the status quo. And if you fit into that realm, we want you to know this is where you can come work. We're actually starting to consider local mainstream media advertising to see how that works. So things like your local TV stations and those commercials, radio, Spotify, all of those types of places. And it's not that you would think that would be a bad idea because there's very few of our potential people that would be watching that news commercial or that would be listening to Spotify. But the thing is that nobody's ever seen a TV commercial for a digital marketing agency. If I walked out there and found a person walking down the street and I said, name to me, not even the biggest one, but just one digital marketing agency in Tampa, they couldn't even name one of them. No. So if my thought process, and this is still a theory, is untested, is that if we were to produce a commercial, a TV commercial, a radio commercial, that talks about how we're looking for the best web designers in the Tampa Bay area or the best Google Ads people, what's going to end up happening is somebody who's watching that is going to think of a person they know that does web design and development, that does paid ads, or the people in the local meetup groups that meet up with each other that are marketing. You're going to say, hey, did you guys see that marketing commercial for that agency? They're looking to hire people. So basically, it's just we want to be known that we are the marketing agency to work for, so that you could go to somebody on the street and say, name one digital marketing agency for me in Tampa. And they can say, Longline. I know Longline. Even though I've never used them or anything like that, I just know that they are the digital marketing agency here in Tampa.
And that strategy will work for folks who are at your scale. Look at Billie Jean, for example, in San Diego. He has billboards of his face everywhere. And he has traditional TV. He's got ads, I think, in the airport now as a digital marketing agency, as a trainer. Or Tommy Mello, who's the largest home services business. You see his smiling cartoon face, wearing the red shirt, arms crossed everywhere. I go into different cities and I see his billboards and whatnot. And it's not just to attract customers. The main reason he's doing that is to recruit techs. So your strategy absolutely works and scales when you have a training program that's behind that to develop other people. So I think that's fantastic. I'd imagine you'll quickly become the top digital marketing, SEO, website building, whatnot agency in Tampa, and then maybe even pull from Miami, which is what, a 3.5 hour drive away?
Not very far. And then we have Orlando that's just an hour away. So that's all real nice and close. But one thing you said that was important is the training and development of them. I didn't really speak to that. So one thing that I've implemented into my agency that works phenomenally well, and I stole it from Google, by the way. Google does it, and I believe Amazon and Microsoft, I mean, heck, even Yahoo may have done it. And that was creating various levels inside of each department. When you go and look at like Google software engineering levels, they have various levels, and associated with those levels are things like your pay and compensation, your requirements, responsibilities, accountability. All that is all tied to those things.
Yeah.
So in each of our departments, we've got a content department, we've got a web development department, we've got a paid ads department, our traditional account management department for communications, and then we've got our digital marketing associates that handle all the other catch-all stuff that falls into there.
Yeah.
And we've created levels in most of these departments. Some of them we're still working through. And on each of those levels comes with a set of training, a set of assessments, and a performance review. So as you learn the various things, let's take content, for example. Okay. The number one thing that you're going to learn first is you're going to go through training and learn how to write blogs. Until you've demonstrated the ability to write blogs in the way that we need, at the volume that we need, at the quality we need, then you'll be advanced on to being able to write service pages. And then you'll go through a whole nother set of training with service pages, assessments on service pages, and then perform that you can do them. After some time, then you'll get to move into area pages, which is the next level up. And as you move up levels, you know that there's also compensation raises associated with them. So that helps give people a trajectory to understand of how they can move up, earn more money in the company, but it also doesn't overload them at the same time. In most agencies, you would come in on the content team and here's how you do blogs, here's how you do area pages, here's how you do service pages, here's how you do project case studies, here's all the basics on SEO. And it's like, whoa, that's just way too much. So we broke it out and segmented it, and that's worked really, really well.
Have you turned that, Tony, into a certification, maybe that other people can see, so they see what your standards are even before they apply or join?
I have not yet, but I love that idea. That's a great idea.
Because I think that could be the key for your marketing for recruitment.
Yeah, I like that idea. Actually, note it down.
Especially with stuff moving into social media, because you're a full service agency.
Yes.
I know it's a stereotype, but it's younger adults that are on social media. So how many of these folks are on social, but with a little bit of training, you could teach them to service lawn care companies when you become the standard. And then we take everything that you know and we turn it into a book and make that book a number one bestseller in the category.
Absolutely. That I do actually have that planned, is to be able to create a book and do all of those things, and hopefully we'll be a bestseller. But no, I love the idea of creating a certification for our training. And we've actually had a lot of other agencies that have reached out to us and asked for that training that they can give to their team as well.
Yeah. Then you can franchise your business out. They're like online marketing. It's just like like JC Height out of Nicaragua. Where he's basically franchised out his agency across other agencies that are implementing his process. Because whoever drives the process on how exactly the tasks are being done are basically franchisee, right? Even though depending on how the ownership and whatever works, but they're basically doing the same thing. Because like you said, with Chick-fil-A, it's the same chicken sandwich, whatever store you go into.
Right, absolutely. And yes, we actually do have, that is more of our long-term plan. So when we look at our 10-year goals and where we want to be, having a proven model and set of training systems and processes we want to replicate into, call it a franchise style model for digital marketing agencies and various verticals and niches. Yeah. So 100% we plan to do that. If you didn't know, we actually operate off our own custom management system as well. So we don't utilize ClickUp or Asana or any of those. We have custom software that we've developed that operates a digital marketing agency that focuses on reoccurring programs that you offer. And this has changed everything for us. And that is going to become a SaaS product here in the next couple of years.
I would love to see it.
It's pretty awesome. I do have to say, I mean, it handles our billing, it handles our onboarding, it handles our tasks, it handles our SOPs, our training, all the automations to auto create all the tasks for everybody every month. I mean, all of that is all 100% automated, handled, and our systems make it so that things don't fall through the cracks, especially as you start to scale.
So it's an agency in a box, everything you want, instead of like 20 pieces of software that we need today.
Basically, yes. So it's taken those 20 pieces of software and put them together in one. But another big selling point of it is all of our training, all of our processes are all built into it as well. So when you go and open up a task, that task has a SOP or training document attached to it. You can click on it and there's all the training and everything. So as we sell that to other agencies in the future, not only are you going to have software to help run and manage your business and do all of that, but now you also have all the instructions on how to execute everything as well.
Wow, that is crazy. I want to hear all about that. I want to take this episode of the Coach You podcast and turn it into a blog post and put it on my DR74 website. Absolutely. And also, by the time this podcast releases, our program with Jake Paul called the Financial Freedom Movement, which is training up young adults to start social media agencies doing TikTok and short videos and whatnot. We're going to have lots and lots of these young adults. So I would love at some point for these young adults to be able to learn, if you think it makes sense, to use your software to be able to grow and manage their agency and get more clients and onboard other team members and so forth.
We won't have it quite ready at that point, but I can definitely give you a preview and show you what it's like. I mean, we operate on it today, but right now we're working on making it more flexible so that agencies can come in and make changes to the way they run their particular businesses and do their particular things. So we're putting in more customization and ways that aren't going to be so tied into the lawn and landscape type space, right? Like onboarding, for example, is one of our key things that enables us to be successful. Our onboarding starts with a 4-hour phone call. And in that 4-hour phone call, we're collecting so much information from them that by the time it's done, we have this ridiculous database or knowledge base of our customers that we can go pull from at any single time that tells us all about the basics of their company, all the differentiators of their company, all their service areas and broken down by service. What services should we focus on over the next 30 days? What services do you do not offer? How do you perform those services and execute them? All of that all gets documented and put into our backend. So our content writing team, our paid advertising team, our social media and live chat team, we go on and represent our clients as them. So when somebody asks them a question like, how do you perform your fertilization services or how many steps are included? We go pull up their system or pull up their account in our system, and it'll tell you exactly how many treatments are in their fertilization program because it was asked during onboarding.
Wow, that's amazing how onboarding ties to the execution, it ties to your training.
Oh yeah, you can't execute without good onboarding. If you don't have good onboarding, then you will struggle to service that client properly and get them results.
Now, one thing that you offer is SEO, and this is a tricky thing because it's something that people talk about, but the local companies have no idea what it is. A friend of mine's a massage therapist, and he paid this local agency, I think their name is Go Be Rewarded, $12,500 to build a new website and to drive traffic. And the site has zero SEO power, zero inbound links. It has zero traffic. Looking at the Google Analytics, it ranks on 0 keywords in the first 100 search results using SEMrush and Ahrefs and our other kinds of tools. And my friend, Philippe Cadu, who is the massage therapist, he's a great massage therapist. He specializes in pain management and injury, and he's done 7,000 massages over the last 11 years. So he's very good at that, but he doesn't know anything about SEO. And so when I think about local businesses, whether they're real estate agents or lawn care companies or massage therapists, they get sold a crock of nonsense on SEO. And of course, I looked up your SEO and I saw it was great. I saw you rank over 1,000 keywords. So all the lawn care, SEO, website marketing for lawn companies, you're ranking up there on all of those. But for those people who are not engineers, who don't build websites, who don't know SEO like you and I do, how can you tell whether the agency is lying about their SEO or is uninformed?
Well, first thing I would do is, like you just said, I would start with their own SEO, right? Are they ranking for their own key terms? So I'll give you a little dirty secret about most marketing agencies. When you go to their website and look at clients we service, they're not putting any bad clients on there. Everybody that you're going to see underneath their list are going to be people that have good results. So one, I would start with their own SEO. Do they actually eat their own dog food? Do they drink their own Kool-Aid? All of that type of stuff. Then I would also, one thing I would find out from them is there two things in your SEO strategy? And there is far more than two things in an SEO strategy, but these are majors. One is, do you have a content strategy that you're going to execute? Is there going to be ongoing content creation? Or are you going to build a website and let it sit there and get stale? The other is do you have some kind of inbound link building strategy? Now, this is where you really can cross into some murky waters about somebody who's legitimate and who's not, who's going to do things today that may get you banned from Google into the future, or taking the long road, which is the right path, right? And there's various approaches to link building, and the ones that we utilize is we're going to be doing things like all the citations, which are going to be your basic stuff.
Right.
We're going to be doing some light press release, paid press release stuff, not going to the free things. But one of the things that we do that generates a decent amount are two other things. One is being able to guest post. And I'm not referring to guest posts as in let me include a backlink to my website in the middle of the content that you're going to post on some irrelevant website. I'm talking about going to a publication or something like that in the industry, an organization, and you have to pre-write a real true educational article. You can't reach out to them and say, hey, can I give you an article on this topic? They're just going to ignore you. But if you send them an email and they see that you're in the same niche, same industry, it's all going to be relevant. Here's an article that I wrote about this particular topic. It needs to be an issue, right? Something that people are having trouble with. Like right now, today, recruiting is a number one issue for most of our customers. So you could write an article on your customer's behalf on the best way to recruit talent in whatever niche, lawn and landscape companies. Go to a lawn and landscape publisher, a magazine, an online publisher, whatever, say, here's a great article that I wrote, 100% unique for you guys, exclusive to you. We're not going to publish it or anything like that. 100% free, no links back to me. But all I'm asking is that, my name get put at the bottom as the author. I get a little author page with it. It's got a link over to our stuff in the author section. And if you like this, I can continue to contribute ongoing content, right? They love that stuff because now you were able to give them all the information they need in one contact. They don't have to come back to you and do this back and forth. And they were able to see the level of quality that you're able to put out. You're going to get that inbound link and you're saving them time. See, publishers, they have to create this content. Nobody gives it to them. That's right. So when somebody comes and gives it to them, it's like, wow, you just did my job for, at least one of these publishing articles. Yeah. And they tend to take them that way. That's how we got involved with all of the publishers. Like I can get articles today published in Green Industry Pros, on Landscape Management Magazine, on the NALP, National Association of Landscape Professionals magazines, or on Landscaper Pro magazines. Any of them I can send that, but that's how I started, is I gave them something. Yep. The other thing that we do to build inbound links is going to be putting paid promotions on social media behind standard content. So instead of always running ads to hire us, it's the educational stuff that we want to put ad spin behind and build links naturally that way. So when you do actually put out a real genuine article that's got real good information in it that you put paid ad spin behind, people will want to share that and get involved with it, which is also going to send social signals and all of that as well. So make sure they have a content strategy, make sure they have some kind of link building strategy, but a good content strategy will build links on its own.
You just said there, Tony, I'm going to turn into a blog post and link back to you.
Yes, please do.
That is the heart. For those of you guys listening or watching, that is the heart of SEO. You'll see people will think it's about technical SEO and all the things that happen on the website and site maps and whatnot. But the power in SEO is getting other links from higher authority sites that are relevant, that are tied to your niche, that link to you. And so when Tony and his team are building relationships and they create a real, actual, valuable, non-promotional article, then he can submit multiple articles over and over again. And you can search for these. It's very easy using SEO tools to see this. For example, Facebook reached out to me saying, can you write a blog post showing how the Golden State Warriors were able to drive sales using Facebook ads? And when they ask, what are you going to say? Of course, right? So I wrote this whole article explaining step by step exactly how we did it, gave credit to the head of marketing at the Golden State Warriors. And then it got posted to Facebook's blog, which is basically a domain rank 99, right? Or 100. It's as high as it gets for SEO. It's higher than CNN or USA Today or LA Times or New York Times and these other guys. And then when we do it again for an Ashley Furniture, we do it again for a Nike or whatnot. We have another case study, which makes Facebook look good. They're going to want to put it on their blog. So when you can do something that looks good, that elevates that client in a non-promotional, not like a testimonial, but actually showing step-by-step how to do something, the industry associations, the conferences, the magazines, the trade rags, they love featuring what you're doing. Absolutely. And so any agency that you look at, I would argue, and Tony, you can correct me if you feel differently, I feel like they have to be vertically focused. So Tony is super connected in lawn care and all the things related to the backyard and clean and green. And I don't even know what these different areas are, right? On your site, you listed different sub niches within lawn care, but he's so connected in that space that he can now publish. And that sends a really, really strong signal to Google. So even being on other podcasts, even though I know nothing about lawn care, I've collected so much juice from the media and whatnot that have come to my sites that then when we interview Tony, like what we're doing here, and we link to him, any site that he links to also benefits from the juice that all these other sites are linking to him. I could have a nothing site, but if I get interviewed by other people, or even if I don't have a lot of content on my site, if other people are quoting me because I'm putting helpful information on social media, and you heard Tony say that he's using paid promotion against actually helpful social posts, if people see that and they like what you have to say, they will link to you. So the paid social actually drives SEO too, which almost nobody knows.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that is interesting about all of this approach is once you submit something and it's good, now you can't go find some article off the internet and spin it and submit it as your own. You got to actually have real value in your content. But once you do that, like now, for example, if the NALP, the National Association of Landscape Professionals, if they're writing an article about something to do with recruiting or something to do with marketing, they actually now contact me and ask me for statements that they can include in their piece, right? So that will happen too. Once you start becoming a contributor, now they're going to approach you and ask you, well, what is your thought on this? And can we quote you in this article that we're writing?
Yeah. So when I do a search on your site for law online marketing, I see that you rank on irrigation companies, organic SEO services, local landscaping company. You even rank on marketing websites, which is not even specific to your niche. GIE Expo 2021, that must be some industry conference, right?
It is, yep.
You even rank on online advertising companies. That's kind of neat. Turnkey business, employee recruiters. Right. It's crazy. You rank on 1,000 of these different keywords. You're in position 1 on your own name, Law Online. You're on position 1 for law online websites. And you're in position 3 on lawn care website design.
Yeah, there's a wide variety of them. But if you were to do a search for, say, Tony Ricketts lawn line marketing, then you will see tons of results from the NALP, from the Lawn and Landscape magazine, from Landscape Management magazine, from Green Industry Pros, because these magazines, which are very authoritative figures in my niche, they've taken my content, they've reached out to me for input, stuff like that, and they published it, which has built our authority. I always say SEO is very simple. It's two things. It's half content, half authority. And you can't have one without the other. It really is that simple. Now it gets very deep on each side of those, but you can't rank well if you've got great content and no authority. And it goes the other way too. You can have great authority, but if your content sucks, you're not going to get found. So you've got to have both sides of it.
Yeah. Content and authority. The way that I look at this from a non-technical standpoint is it's about relationships. So if you built relationships with the top industry pros and they're interviewing you and you're submitting articles and whatnot, by definition, if it's with the top people in the industry, it's going to carry the authority and it's going to be helpful content. Otherwise, why would they have the largest email list or the largest conference or the largest podcast or whatnot, right? So those of you guys who are worrying or wondering about SEO, thinking it's this complex, technical wizardry, tools-driven kind of thing, literally do what Tony's doing. Look at Tony on LinkedIn, on Facebook, look at the content he has on the websites, look at the inbound links. If you're using like a SEMrush, and see where he's getting these links from, and literally do the same thing that like he and I and other folks in the industry are doing. Don't listen to what these SEO people are telling you, because they're trying to sell you consulting and trying to sell you services. I've got so many friends that have hired SEO companies, and these SEO companies have a domain authority of 0. There was one guy who reached out to me last week. I think he was arguing with me. He was a troll in the comments because I was doing my oxygen baths, which is I do like 5 times a week. And I forgot the exact name of his site, but I think it was Legal SEO Firm. So his whole company does SEO for law firms. 0 inbound links, 0 content that ranks on anything. You can't even find the guy's name. His name is David Smith. Good luck trying to SEO for that name. Right? Then I said, that's not your name. David Smith, what's your real name? Right? If you're going to hire an SEO, Google them. So Google Tony Ricketts and see all this amazing stuff that comes up. And it's not because he's good at SEO. It's because he's built industry relationships over many years. And he started as a lawn care technician back in 2005 and then learned how to actually do it by being in the industry, and started one of the largest companies in lawn care, in web marketing, social media, SEO, websites, local, that whole thing.
Yep. And one point that I want to point out that is a key word that you mentioned there is years, right? There is no smoking gun. This doesn't happen overnight. I mean, unless you can come into the digital marketing game and get somebody like Dennis Yu to interview you in the first month that you're in the industry, which is not going to happen because you haven't built that credibility. You haven't shown that you can get results. Yeah. This is a long-term game. You should not expect SEO to bring you results tomorrow, which I don't know what else we have planned in this podcast here, but I've got a great analogy about how we utilize paid advertising together with SEO for our client base to generate a results-based marketing program.
I want to hear that. I have 2 or 3 other questions I'm going to ask you about, but I want to hear this one first.
So the way that I explain to our customers is our digital marketing programs are all inclusive. So they're going to get a website, they're going to get paid ads, they're going to get social, they're going to get SEO, they're going to get all of these things, review building, the whole 9. Mm-hmm. So we talk to them. A lot of people will say, well, I don't want to use paid ads. I don't want to lean on it and have to build my business on it. So here's the way that I explain it. That building a digital marketing presence that's going to generate results is a lot like building a fire. So think about when you build a fire, you can use gasoline to build a fire, right? And that's like your paid ads. It works exactly the same way. You pour the fire or the gasoline onto the fire, you get a big flame. And in this case, you get calls right away. You don't have to wait. But the problem is that gasoline will burn up and the fire will go out. If you don't keep money going into Google ads or to Facebook ads or Microsoft ads, those leads will dry up. However, in order to create a sustainable fire, you have to burn wood. Wood is your SEO. And just like in real life, wood does not catch fire immediately. You have to do all kinds of things, put the accelerants on it or put lint on it or do whatever it is that you're going to do to keep a slow burning flame over it that's eventually going to catch that wood. And as that wood catches, you don't need as much gas anymore to keep the flames big. Now, let's say, for example, you want to just get a big flame, even though your fire's already going. Yeah, pour some more gas on there, pour some more paid ads on there, and you'll see big flare-ups of various leads running in. So building a digital marketing presence that generates leads is like building a fire. Gasoline is like paid ads. Wood is like SEO. Gasoline is fast, just like paid ads. Wood is slow, just like SEO, but it's the wood that creates a sustainable fire, and it's the SEO that creates a sustainable lead generation machine online.
Tony, that is a fantastic analogy. One that I like to use is renting the car versus buying the car. Or probably my favorite one is I can go to Whole Foods and I can buy vegetables right now, or I can plant seeds and have the herbs and the vegetables continue to, but it's going to take me 6 or 7 weeks until those things harvest or until they germinate and sprout and turn into plants and this kind of thing.
Right. Absolutely. That's a good one too. I like
And our view on the paid side, especially on social media, is it's a great excuse to create content, because once we create the content, then that's long-term investment where we can distribute the content, link to it, do other things, repurpose it into different kinds of snippets. But without the content, there's nothing really you can do with SEO because you have no you have nothing to trade with. There's nothing to link on.
Absolutely. And depending on your choice of media, whether it's videos or imagery, written, or a combination of all of them, that opens up various different platforms that you can now get involved with, like bringing in YouTube, for example, bringing in TikTok, bringing in Facebook. I mean, if you don't have video, it's hard to implement a marketing strategy on those platforms.
That's right. Because video can turn into images and images can turn into text. So video is a 3-in-1.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's why we think TikTok, even though it is seen as a fad, is really where people should be investing, because when you produce short form video, we find that those can be literally copied over into Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and blog posts and all this. What is your stand on TikTok?
So my stand on TikTok is the same as every other new platform. I highly encourage it. And there's a couple of reasons I encourage new platforms. One is uncharted territory. So you're not going to find all these people with all these grand ideas of here's how you should do this, do that, which most of it's been exhausted, doesn't work anyways. Two is you can reach a lot of people for not a lot of money. Like in the early days of all these other platforms that brought in paid advertising, you cannot go nearly as far today on Facebook as you could many years ago when they first started the advertising. Same thing with every platform out there. Google's no different from that either. So right now is the cheapest that you'll ever be able to buy ads on TikTok. It is only going to get more expensive per 1,000 views as we go. So I recommend that. Also, too, if you find a key that works, then it can produce leads at a cost that is so low that it can't even be matched anywhere else. So I've heard of other agencies that are utilizing TikTok and getting leads for $2 a lead, things that are like stupid, ridiculously cheap. And that's because they found something that works, and the platforms are letting their dollar go much further than what other platforms are. So I am 100% on board. The other reason is because often too, I don't know if TikTok's doing it yet because I haven't done a ton on TikTok, but the newer platforms tend to give you more freebies. So if you're utilizing a lot or spending a lot, they're going to say, here's a free $100 or $500 or whatever.
Yeah. And better support.
Yep, 100%. So yes, I love TikTok. I just haven't gotten into it yet. The way we do it here, we have two programs, our Accelerate and our Elite program. Only our elite customers get access to, call it beta tested marketing strategies, where we're bringing in TikTok. Nextdoor is another one that we're currently testing with right now. So if you're an elite client and you're interested, then know that these are not proven strategies like these other things we've done, but you've got all this opportunity that you could get a lot more out of your dollar. And being that you're an elite client, we'll let you test this out if that's something that we're currently doing. So that's how we roll new platforms into our programs.
Fantastic. So Tony, you offer as full service, which is really hard to do. You offer a little bit of everything. How do you manage between things that are consistent and proven and things that are new? Because there's so many different things. Every day there's a new social network, there's some new technique, there's some new tool.
So just like what I said, we will test it on our elite counts with their approval. We don't charge them anything for it. We never charge until we know that we have a proven strategy that is going to get results. So we always stay on top of it. We departmentalized out our agency here. So we have our paid ads department and our web department and our content department. Each of those departments have multiple people, but they also have a director over it. And that director, one of the things that they do is keep up with what's going on in the internet world of their department. So what kind of new web design strategies are coming out? Web design is something that changes like every couple of years. It's a different style that's changing. Paid ads, the new platforms that are coming out. Content, new types of pieces that we can create or new strategies to use. These are things that they are keeping tabs on. And when they have something, they bring it up in our weekly L10 meeting, say, hey, this could be a potential option for us bringing in. What do you guys think about this? We'll discuss it as a leadership team. And if it's something that we want to do, we will build our processes and training and systems around that, utilizing our good clients as guinea pigs. And generally our clients are up for that.
So how does Tony Ricketts decide what is interesting? What's Tony Ricketts hot on right now?
So I try to actually remove myself from being the face and focus of this business a lot. So I have, including myself, 6 people on my leadership team, the 4 department heads, the operations manager, and myself. So that makes up our leadership team. And I am very open to hearing other people's opinions on what we should do and things like that. So I don't have a lot of focus on like, say, yes, let's go ahead and do TikTok. This seems interesting. It's going to be based on the feedback from everybody else that's involved in this company. I took a strategy with forming my leadership team that's different than everybody else. And with that is that I have given them a much better path to success. And what I mean by that is they don't have ownership or equity sharing or anything like that. But what they do have is as we hit various milestones, as we continue to scale and grow, that they will be compensated with salaries that go above and beyond what they could earn in that role otherwise. So for example, my content director, somebody who's directing content would be 80,000 here in the Tampa Bay area at the very top level.
Right.
Once we hit 30 million a year in revenue, my content director will be making $500,000 a year. And it's simply because the skill set that she would bring that goes outside of content, right? And these are what I call my foundational leadership team. So we will have other people move into our leadership team, but they won't have the same path to success that these 5 other people have in my company. And what this does now is I feel like I have 5 other partners in my company that work just as hard as I do to build this into something because they know that's where they're going.
How do you find these foundational leadership people?
Every single one of them was brought in from internal. So they were hired in their departments and they just really stood out and shined. I didn't even have a leadership team until we hit probably 120,000 a month in recurring revenue, 130. So we were beyond $1 million company before I even had a real leadership team where I opened up everything. My leadership team, they know our profits, they know our books, they know exactly what we spend money on. They know how much my salary is. They know how much every person out there is making. So they treat it like it's their own company. So it wasn't until about 120, 130K a month in recurring revenue that I actually opened up and created this leadership team. And it was because I was about to have a mental breakdown that I can't keep doing all this myself. And I've got real help that believe in what we're doing here.
So smart to promote from within.
And that's what I did. My operations director was hired on originally as a content writer. And after he had been in that role for quite a while, I went to him and said, man, you are way too smart to be writing content. What do you think about being an operations manager? And that's what we did.
And that creates clear opportunity to level up when they can see someone starts at level 1 and they can move all the way up to be a department head.
Absolutely. Yes. Because we do my plan is I want to create other agencies in the future based off of the Long Line Chicken Sandwich. And my current department directors, they will move up into the overall holdings company that will be responsible for all agencies. And so my current content director will be responsible for overseeing the content of all of the agencies. And one of my current content team will become the content director at Longline. And then somebody will move over to whatever the next agency is.
And then you'll be the executive chairman.
Yeah, hopefully at that point, I'm just really making decisions, right? That's what I hope my life revolves around that day is yes, no, and eating chicken sandwiches.
Love those chicken sandwiches. Tony, what are questions that you wish people had asked you?
Questions that I wished people had asked me. So are you referring to like a client? What questions would they ask me?
Or just in general, like people interviewing you, people picking your brain. What do you wish people would ask, but they don't?
What are the struggles? Where everything seems like everything is all great and golden streets here running a multi-million-dollar marketing agency. Everybody's got this false vision of how wonderful this may be, but what do those struggles really look like? Where are the failures? What are the things that nobody wants to talk about? I would say that's what I wish people would ask. I tell everybody I'm an open book. I love leading off conversations and like our mastermind meetings with not what are our wins, but what are our losses? What are our failures? Wins are great. You can pat yourself on the back all you want, but that's not going to push you forward. Knowing where you failed and how you've gotten over that failure and obstacle is what's going to push somebody forward. So I love hearing failure stories and how you were able to resolve it.
You learn a lot more from the failures. Can you talk about one of them?
Oh, I can talk about several of them. I fail more than anybody does. I make mistakes and have failures every single day. One of my biggest failures is I spent almost 4 years, it was over 3 years, developing our website management system. That's the current system we still use today to build our websites, but it's a software that will generate a website, generates the databases, does all the DNS records, servers, and all that kind of stuff in a matter of seconds. And we have a website ready to edit with a backend interface similar to that of WordPress. So we developed a software like that. The whole purpose of it was that we wanted to sell it to real estate agents. The reason it took almost 4 years to develop is because if you've ever mapped data in from multiple MLSs across the United States, it's a complete nightmare because they don't have a consistent data schema. For people that don't know what that means, their data is not structured in the same way across different areas. So it makes it a nightmare to be able to merge data together and show it all in one place and things like that. So we've spent almost 4 years developing this software that pulled into MLS systems, repaired data, created a data schema that could then be mapped in front and basically created a national MLS. And we went to start selling it and it failed miserably. We sold it to about a dozen realtors. And they did not want to wait to get results. They didn't want to pay the amount of money that we were paying, because when a realtor comes in and starts paying me thousands of dollars a month, and it may be 3 months, 6 months before they actually get money out of that lead you just generated for them, they tend to ride you a lot harder. It's more difficult to keep them happy. And after about a dozen customers in that space, we're like, this is just not going to work at all. And now we just wasted 4 years building this and well over $100,000 invested in it. What do we do? And it's like, okay, we've got to transition. We have to pivot. And what we did was we looked at various industries, which we ended up landing on lawn and landscape. And I pulled every real estate feature out of that software and repurposed it for lawn and landscape companies, which is the same exact software that we build and run our websites on today. But I spent almost 4 years developing the software. Tried to sell it for about 3 to 6 months before I scrapped it and realized it was a huge failure.
But then it ended up being a huge win because now you can repurpose it into all kinds of service industries.
It did, absolutely. The key there was that we were going after a market that we couldn't get an instant return on. And that's one thing that we'll stay focused on as we branch into other niches, other verticals, is always focusing on ones where people can see a return on our investment rather quickly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Learning from those mistakes. So Tony, one thing that I didn't know about you until recently is that you have a prosthetic eye.
Yes.
And your previous eye you've had for 20 years, and now you have a new one that you're working on with this talented, what are they called? An ocularist?
An ocularist, correct.
Not a Facebook Oculus. But
no, not an Oculus, but an ocularist. Very, very cool trade. These people will literally paint an eye to match your exact one. And the whole process is a very cool process of how it works. It's changed over the years. So to give you a bit of background, what happened is when I was 15 years old, I was at a family friend's 4th of July party. I wasn't lighting off fireworks. I was actually standing, I would say, it was a distance. I would say at least 50 to 100 feet away. I was long ways away. And firework, a mortar that you drop down into the tube and light the long wick, and it goes down, makes the big explosion. Instead of blowing out the top of the tube, it blew out of the side of the tube. And I was only 15, and I was just standing there, and it hit me square right in the eye. Smashed my eye like a hard-boiled egg, and it shattered every bone here on your upper cheek. Wow. So being a 15-year-old, obviously that was tough. And my parents were very strict. So come hell or high water, I was going to be in school come August. So I went through all kinds of surgeries. Swelling wasn't even done when I had my first eye made. I had to have an orbital surgeon come in and completely rebuild this side of my face here. Had the eye taken out, obviously, as it was like completely smashed. And after the swelling had gone down, I had an eye made, and that was the eye that I had all the way up into to this point. So the way that the process works is behind this eye, which, by the way, a glass eye is not a round circle ball, right? It looks more like a big contact lens. And it's once it's done, it's acrylic, like the nails that girls put on their fingers, right? It's the same type of material. So inside of my eye here is actually a coral ball. And the reason they use coral is because your blood vessels will grow through all of the little holes in the coral, and it becomes an integral part of your face there. So then they put a layer of skin over it. And when you put this contact on top of it, that's what gives you a little bit of the movement on your eye. It also prevents your eye from sinking back and falling down into your head because there's nothing there. So I had it made. The first time, the way that they made it was they would take a little plastic, big contact lens looking thing, and then they would have a stick of wax. It looked like a stick from a hot glue gun. They'd put it over a flame, and they would just dab it and dab it and dab it and keep shaping it and build it up till it's the exact shape. They put it in and out of your eye, in and out of your eye a million times, make it look good. And then after they get the shape and size of the eye itself, then that's when they paint the iris part here and the color. So they would then paint that. It's actually done on a separate thing and then placed onto the eye, and then it gets cooked in a kiln like you would do like old clay things back in high school, and turn them into glass, right? It gets cooked like that. Now the process is a little bit different to where they now use a mold. So like, for example, when you go to the dentist, if you're going to have any dental work done, they put that mold in your teeth, right?
Oh yeah.
They have one for your eye, believe it or not. So basically they put this little cup thing that's got a little circle on it, and they squirt the mold into your eye. It feels really, really weird. It's as bad as it sounds. And they let it harden and pull it out, and now they have a mold of your eye, and that's where they do the initial formation. Now is based off of that mold, and then the painting of the iris and everything is still the exact same process from there. But it's a very interesting and long process. 4 trips it took me to do this, and on 3 of the 4, they are just sitting there staring at you, painting your eye and molding it and sticking it in and out of your eye. Very, very long process.
Have you had anything weird happen, like you're running and the eye pops out?
It can not so much pop out because your eyelids do pretty good holding it in, but it can spin, right? And that's something you got to be careful with, because as the wearer, you may not even notice that it's spun, but people looking at you got like one eye looking off this way, right? So
most people don't notice though, right? I mean, but because the other eye kind of stays. I mean, you have one eye that looks around, but the other eye doesn't move very much though. So
it doesn't move that much. But when I mean it's pointing the other way, I mean it's like way up there. Like you can tell it's definitely wrong. There's no question about it.
What other weird things do people not know about Tony Ricketts?
I don't know if they're weird. I'm a huge dog person. I love dogs. Last Giving Tuesday, I do this every year, and I encourage every marketing agency to do this out there. I'm getting Josh involved in it. Maybe you can get involved with us next year. On Giving Tuesday, my goal is to raise money for organizations that need help. I choose small local organizations. I give a lot of money every year to charity. So what I do is on Giving Tuesday specifically, this year I did the dog organization I normally do. And I create video and I raise money for them, and Facebook will match up to $7 million usually. This year, I raised just over $10,000 in a 24-hour period for that using digital marketing on social media. So I'm putting out to people who have never seen this organization before. It's just the strategies and wording and ads that we use. We're able to raise over $10,000 in 24 hours. And we spent, $500 in ad spend to do that. So that's one of the things about me is I love to give. I love to be in charities. I love sponsoring little leagues and giving back to the community. And that's because I grew up in a household where we didn't have much, right? I grew up in a really poor family. So having this to me now enables me to give back to the community, because I don't really need all this and all this much. So that does help. Another thing about me, a lot of people don't know, is I got a baby on the way. My first baby is coming. He will be here on May 23rd is the date that he's supposed to be here. So my first son, I'm going to be 36 this summer.
Congrats.
And I will be having my first son here coming in a couple of weeks.
That is awesome. Exciting news.
Yes, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Tony, is there anything else that you want our audience to know?
Yeah, what I said before is that this is not as glamorous as it appears to be. You know, if being a digital marketing expert or even entrepreneur at all in that matter, you've got to understand what the risks are and what the failures are going to be like. Every overnight sensation is 10 years in the making, right? It's not going to be fast. And once you do find that financial freedom, there's going to be many other obstacles that you're going to be dealing with. So even though I may not have to worry about how I'm going to make my mortgage this month, I've got to worry about how I'm going to make the mortgage for 20 other families out there, right? And that kind of stuff will ride on your shoulders, right? I've got now an average family of 4 I have over 20 US based employees here in my office. So I've got to put food on the table for 80 people every single day, right? So that's one of the things that will start to ride on you is once you've found some success, it doesn't stop there. It just gets even harder and harder but the rewards get better and better.
And you are a true giver. You've got the abundance mentality to help other people grow because you started yourself as someone who learned through the trades all the way up. So awesome to have you, Tony, on the show. Everyone go follow Tony. Tony, where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. It's one of the best places. I'm more active there than Facebook. So just go to LinkedIn, search for Tony Ricketts. You'll be able to find me there.
Awesome. Well, that's the Coach U Show, where we interview successful entrepreneurs that give back, just like Tony does on Giving Tuesday. Thank you guys so much. And let Tony and I know, what was your one biggest takeaway? What was one realization, one thing that you're going to implement in your business based on what you learned from Tony? Let us know below. I'm always watching the comments. Our team's always watching. We'd love to hear from you guys. See you guys in the next episode.